So as a preliminary matter, this is Woody Knight, Chair of the Newbury Planning Board. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present. Planning Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter Pecos,
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy,
Yes.
Mary Stone will not be with us tonight. Scott Kinter,
Yes, sir.
Steve Mangian.
Yes.
Very good. Town staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kristen Grubbs, Planning Director.
Yes.
Applicants or representatives, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. We have the Newbury Lower Green Historic District Committee members, Robin Etheridge
Yes.
and Lon Hatchmeister.
Yes.
Very good. Ace Solar representatives, Sam Kuda. And
I don't
Dale
see
Myers?
Sam on. This is Dale Myers. I was asked to join with Sam as a technical support consultant, but I don't see Sam on.
okay, well, hopefully he'll be joining us soon. Okay, Dale?
Yep, yes, sir.
Very good. For the Florence Bushy subdivision representatives, Ben Perez and Steve Sawyer.
Steve Sawyer here.
Okay, great, Steve, and Ben.
I
may
think
be joining us
Ben's
soon.
planning to log on.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. And 2 Old Point Road, Vince Golden, Sunset Club owner, and Steve Sawyer, Millennium Engineering.
Yeah, I think Vince may also log in at some point. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Good evening. Today is May 7th, 2025. Open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the Governor's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 3820, until June 30th, 2027. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found at the town's website. You can join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID number 832-7141-3056. And the passcode is 108790. Or by calling in 1-929-205-6099 and entering the meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference. The meeting is also being held broadcast live through local access cable channel 9 on Zoom and at https://newburytv.wixsite.com/TNCTV. And the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting business ground rules. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I'll go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. The meeting tonight does not include any public hearings. However, after board members have spoken, I will afford the public an opportunity to comment and/or ask questions. I will seek the questions and comments through the Zoom raise hand function in the order in which people please click on the raise hand button. Finally, each vote is taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. So that's the opening statements. We'll move on to the first item on the agenda. It's a presentation by the Lower Green Historic District Study Committee. And I'd like to welcome Robin Etheridge and Lon Hackmeister. And basically, I'll turn it over to you guys and you can give us your presentation, please.
Thank you. Right. Can everyone
Yep.
hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Good. Right. Thank you very much for this. I wanted to give both of us, we'll dart around between slides, want to give a presentation of where we are on the study committee report, which will be presented to the select board and then ultimately the town in due course, and with your guidance in the process. So we got a short presentation, it's 13 slides. The contents will be as follows: the formation of the committee, what we've been doing up to date and the timeline, the report itself, and then the future steps, and we will happy to open a Q&A afterwards. If you can kindly set the PowerPoint up, please, we can get underway.
Great.
Bingo.
That working okay?
Now it is. There it
Okay,
is.
yeah,
Looks good.
right.
Great.
I guess you might have to control the slide.
Yeah, right, yeah, okay, first
Yeah.
slide. The first slide establishes the background to setting this whole project up, and I'll let you read it rather than reading it out myself. And while you're doing that, I'll just say this was started in late 2022, following a informal survey of people that came to the green for sporting activities and everything else.
Excuse me, Kristen.
Sorry?
I heard Kristen, I'm just having difficulty, hearing you, or the presentation. It could be me, but I heard Kristen, fine. I'm wondering if you could turn up your audio.
Turn up the audio. It's on 92 anyway.
It's pretty much up.
Yeah, well, put it up.
I'll put it all the way.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, right. Just to start the first
Yeah,
slide,
fast
is that better? Can you hear
It's a
now?
little better. Is anybody else having, some problems or?
It seems to be very quiet, Scott, and I may make the suggestion that maybe they try to speak up a little bit and maybe scoot up to the microphone and do the best that they can.
Okay.
Let me move it that way.
All right, thank you, Scott,
Okay,
for
yeah, right.
bringing it
Sitting on my stove.
Okay, right. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
The first slide really is just the background to the formation of the study committee back in late 2022, which was then set in motion by the select board in establishing the committee. I'm sure the planning committee can distribute the PowerPoint to those interested afterwards. But anyway, the background is in the state of Massachusetts, there are about 200 local historic districts in about 100 communities, which are all designated as local historic districts under Chapter 40C designation, which this just gives you a picture of the extent. There are some admissions, Ipswich being one and Deerfield being another, which have a slightly different status. It's a higher level status in view of their historic buildings. So they are historic districts, but not within the Massachusetts Historic Commission guidance. So that just puts the context in, and you'll see Newbury up top there is not covered, and which, and I'd sort of draw your attention to the fact the Upper Green is not a local historic district. It is on a historic register, but that's not the same. We can discuss differences later. Okay, so the next slide is the committee. The committee is formed under the guidance of the Massachusetts Historic Commission, which are very specific in terms of the sort of people who should attend it. We have some residents, then we have people from Historic New England and the Museum of Old Newbury. Okay, the next one. We had our own mission statement, which we developed, showing what we were about and the goals. Just let you read that. Right, now the next important thing shows the timeline, and this is the rules set out by us in establishing local historic districts by the Massachusetts Historic Commission are very detailed. The manual itself is over 60 pages long, and it's there's certain things have to be followed and in order, and all the representative parties have to be involved. The residents concerned in the area, yourselves as the planning board, which you'll see down in yellow, halfway down in the middle, as well as the select board. And then it finally goes to the town meeting, where it has to pass by a 2/3 majority. The point we're at the moment is the bottom yellow square, which is submitting the study to the Massachusetts Historic Commission and to yourselves. And we'll come on to that a little bit later. The purposes of this presentation is to bring you up to date up until that point and to show you where we are. So your involvement, which will be appreciated, comes forward very shortly. Okay. So the next slide shows what's happened over the last couple of years. This started in late 2022, and with the backdrop of COVID, it was it got off to a slow start, just getting around, having meetings and everything else. So really 2023 and 4 were where we got involved. And you can see from there, we had surveys out to residents. We had outline reports done, and we get to today where we've suggested the area under consideration. And then into 2025, we've got to deal with bylaws, which we'll cover in a later slide, and then complete with the study report draft, which then goes to Massachusetts Historic Commission and yourselves. Okay, so the next slide. Lon's gonna
Sure, I'm going to take that one.
Yeah.
Okay, the next slide. So we held 3 public meetings during the kind of the second year. One in Byfield in the library, one at the town hall, and I'm in the fire department,
Fine.
and then one over on Plum Island to try and make sure to try and get to as many people as we can get to that are going to be, you know, part of the voting block here down at the end of the process. And we did put out a survey at the same time. So this was a QR code. It was a handout type thing, so people could see. We were planning on mailing it until we saw the expense of mailing to all the voters. And so we didn't do that, not for the preliminary one. We're considering another way of trying to get that information out for the final survey at the end of the summer and into the fall this year. Notification that's prior to when everything's all ready and prior to the town meeting and the voting. And you can see that most of the people that took the survey are from the Plum Island. We got the Plum Island is about 25%. The Old Town area was the largest. Of course, a lot of the people that are going to be in the local historic district voted. And that was something that Robin didn't mention in the beginning, that we had an ad hoc group that got together, and after seeing a couple of the properties around here turning into developments, we were concerned, being people that lived in the vicinity of the green, about saving the architecture and preserving the architecture. For example, if my house burned down, we're sitting here in my kitchen here, my house burned down and I sold the property, that's something that would be built up to replace it, would be, the architecture would be consistent. So it wouldn't be a very modern looking house or stucco or something like this. But like a home from the late 1800s, maybe 1800s. So the second graph on that was the question was, are the antique homes, or the historic places, and so is that worth preserving? And you can see here that 93% of the people that took the survey agreed that it's worth serving. And then we asked people in the next slide, do you know what a local historic district is? And 76% yes, but we don't know if they cheated and took the survey after our meeting or not. But about 23% said they think they know what it is. And then the last one was, would you, in a town meeting, would you vote for local historic district, establishing one as described in the meeting? So there's something around the green, properties that are in view from when you're standing on the green, and then approaches to the green coming down the Route 1 here, the 1A, the scenic byway. So those are the ones that we considered. And so 93% of the people that took the survey said that they would support that. And then,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so the next slide gets on to the district. Now, it's important within the guidance of the Massachusetts Historic Commission is that there is proper engagement with all the residents, and that's why the survey was done in more far-flung places like Plum Island and West Byfield. We have to show that we have engaged as many people as many people from various parts of the town. So anyway, the central point of the historic district in preserving it as a district, rather than just having buildings listed on a register of a certain date, is, and the Massachusetts Historic Commission are very conscious about that, is it is a district they're looking at. And now some of the properties in it may be later construction. And so we concentrated on what was the view if you're standing in the middle of the lower green, round about where the schoolhouse is, and what the eye line is 360 degrees around and encompass most of the properties there. There are 24 properties in the area around the green, which on your screen is number 9. 15 of the properties, 15 out of the 24 have buildings on them. 2 of those buildings are first period homes. 50% of the other buildings are built pre-1800, and all were built pre-1900 except for one. And the one which is on the green there, the owners are quite receptive to be included, which is there. So a part of Massachusetts Historic Commission is proper engagement with everyone, so they understand what the goals are, which is preserving the area, and that if there is any new construction or development or extension, something that they are treated with empathy with the style and architecture of the property. And it's not to say, and this is where we will get into the bylaws, is that development isn't allowed. It just it shouldn't be incongruous with the surrounding area. So the visual scene is viewing the sort of traditional landscape as it was. And so so that's where we came up with the diagram you've seen above. In addition, there are 4 monuments and historic markers in that area, most of them around the green itself. Okay, so next slide, which over to you with
Okay, yeah.
the
So where we are in the process right now is working on the study report. And that's pretty much put together. There's a little bit of editing that needs to be done. The last portion of it is the wording of the bylaw itself. And that's what we've got a draft of that. If you can go to the next slide, there's actually an outline of what that section is going to look like. So it starts out with all the definitions, the you know, what a local historic district is, the difference between that and a historic commission, various things that are pertinent to the rest of the document, and then the intent and purpose of why the local historic district is being made, and then the map that we just looked at will be, and that establishes the boundaries, and every property in that has either agreed to be in the local historic district, and many of those people were part of the ad hoc group that got together and decided to try and establish something here for this. So everybody else though is agreeable to being in it. So we're not trying to force anybody into this at all. And that's what I'm thinking. What is it? The sons and daughters approached us and asked us if the first settlers burial ground could be included. And it's not contiguous, but we said yes, and so that's in there, and so is Evergreen Cemetery. Again, everybody is on board with that. And then the next section in the report, 66, section 4, Historic District Commission, it just talks about the membership of it, the processes for meetings and quorums and things. So this basically this whole bylaw describes how this local historic district is going to be run, managed, and so on. And so all these things are specified in it. And 5 limitations on the commission actions, exemptions from review. For example, so what's an example of one of those? That would be, we're not going to tell you what color you can paint your house, something like that, or you can't, you know, chimneys or anything like this. Anything that makes sense, we don't want to have anything to do with it. It's things that will change the architectural character. And like I said, we've got drafts of these sections and we're still going over them. Number 6 is the application and review procedures. So that describes exactly how if someone comes, wants to make an addition to the side of their house, wants to change something in the front of their house, they will come before the district commission and present that, and then we have to approve that to have it done. So that section talks about the application process and the review procedures for it. If they don't like the results, section 7 is the appeal process. And then if they go ahead and do it anyway, we talk about the violations in the next and penalties. And that includes daily fines. So this local historic district actually has some teeth as opposed to just a listing on a historical a list, they're registered. And then I'm not sure, what was the applicability to the town? I can't remember. I guess that's applying for the thing. Anyway, then any amendments that come, all the rest of the sections down the line when it's effective. And so that we've got a draft version of that. When we finish that up, that'll be submitted. And I mean, that'll kind of finish things off. Then you guys will get a chance to review that and then we send it on to the state. So that's kind of where we are in the process, and you got the
There are-
next steps.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next steps are you will be getting the study report. As we are a little bit further on than that because we're past April 30th. You'll be getting the study report for review. Yeah. So
We didn't update this.
and there'll be some further outreach at the Newbury Town Day, which is a general bring people up to date, and a full public hearing before the submission at the annual town meeting for approval. So we have between now and then, if there's any Q&A, any things coming back from Massachusetts Historic Commission or any clarifications required from your side to resolve. So that's basically it in a nutshell. So you should soon be receiving the report soon. Finally, that's a photograph of the schoolhouse, and just anecdotally to tell you that we found out in the research that in 1919 there were 190,000 such one-room schoolhouses in the entire United States. Today, only 400 remain intact in their original state and on the same site, and Newbury happens to have one of them. 400 out of 190,000. So that was the sort of motivation to start this whole process off and to create a historic district surrounding the schoolhouse.
And once they're gone, they're kind of gone.
Yeah, they're gone forever, and a lot of them were pulled down, but some were removed.
Oh, and we have a new roof on the school now, and the windows have been redone. They're dangerously worn. We had a bad thunderstorm with a lot of gusty winds one night, and the top window in the school there in the front, that one on top actually blew out on a wind gust because this building breathes. And when the wind gust came by, it actually blew that window out, and all the glass ended up on the ground. So, and these are very rare, these windows, with just the style. Most of the times when you see a window like this, it's in a museum, not in a school, not in the building.
Okay, we've sort of slightly overrun a bit, but happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, well, thank you. It was a great presentation, and I'll turn it over to the board. Does anyone have any questions?
If I could make a comment, gentlemen, thank you very much for doing this. I think this is a significant importance to our community. I had a dad who was very much in history, and as a result, that thread continued. I just want to understand something. There are 24 sites included in this. And of the 24, all of those individuals or all those entities want to participate in this. That's correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just say several of the sites are owned or managed by trustees of the reservations, numbers 13 and 11 on the map, and the Greenfield. So there are actually no properties on them, and we reached out to them, and they are obviously very supportive. And the reason, I mean, they have their own covenants on them and they won't be built on, but we felt they ought to be included because they were visually part of the scene of the lower green, and you can see them clearly from the lower green. So, and they are under Macris, they are registered as an individual property. Although they've been just carved up into segments. So the owners, which are the ones with 15 owners and 15 buildings on them, in fact, some of them don't have buildings on them, but have all are all supportive of the prospect.
Wonderful. So the question is, if there are other structures down the road that might want to participate, would they be?
Good question. The this can happen, but the Massachusetts Historic Commission say we have to go through. Once you've got the thing set up, it's easier to add on, but you still have to go through a similar process and have a voting on it, because it's just the way the MHC operates. But there's no reason why that can't be done.
You basically have to follow this again, but it's just with one property, and it's a little easier, but the process doesn't change.
No.
So anything that's one reason we went out and grabbed as many as people that we thought might want to be in the future too. So it's a little, and of course, we don't have any control over how the trustees' property is visual. Some of it is visual, Old Town Hill, the bottom part. We don't see over the top, but the whole property gets included. The Mass Historical frowns on breaking up pieces of property and saying, well, this half is in the district and this half isn't. So they want the whole property to be in the district if part of it's going to be it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks, Woody.
Okay, great. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, actually, I do, Woody. And first,
Okay.
I commend you on your efforts to preserve the local history. Yeah, I think you mentioned that there are 2 first period homes in the district, and I'm just curious, what qualifies as a first period home?
A pre 1725.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's
Thank you.
the first 100 years.
Yeah, that's
And
the
that's
Jackman and Dolittle.
the Dolittle house and the Jackman Willits house.
All right, if no one else has any questions, go ahead, Scott.
Question, Woody.
Can I just say we're hoping to get the report to you guys, because I'm sure there'll be some Q&A on that before the end of this month.
Okay, great.
Review.
Yeah.
So maybe at your next board meeting you can put that down as an item.
And if you need us to come in and discuss anything, or if you want to just send the comments to us or whatever process works best, you can always come in and explain how we respond to your comments, and come in and talk to you about it. Trying to be as open as we can. So.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, my question just is just some clarity on the survey. You've had a total of 29 responses. Is that what I saw? Okay, and the survey went out to how many?
Well, we didn't mail the survey out. We were hoping to send it out to every voter. We had Tracy had approved $800 because that's what we were told it was going to cost to do the mailer, and it turns out that's the stamps.
Just
And we had to have the printing costs for each one and the handling and everything else. And so we've got a plan here to try and do it this summer or into the fall, late summer or fall, do the survey again, but get it out to everybody, and trying to maybe put a mailer in the property tax information. I mean, if we can put in there something about your dog license, we should be able to put something in there with a QR code on it that says, please take our survey. So we're going to try and get more.
It went out to the attendees of the 3 locations which we set up in formal Q&A meetings in Plum Island, West Byfield, and Newbury. So it went, so it was personal, but also it was then distributed at the senior centre and various other public places, and it was on the website of the town.
Right.
But I regret to say, you know, it's like the number of people who turn up at the annual town meeting. You know, it's only 5% of the entire voting, whatever it is, population of the say. It's I regret to say one would like it to have a wider coverage, but it doesn't.
Yeah, they were posted on bulletin boards around at the various town buildings and things. We had handouts on the counter at the senior center. I can't remember where else I had them. I think I left them some at the firehouse and the police department. But what we really needed was a mailing, and it just there wasn't time to do it before we had our meetings. So, because we need to get that cost justified or approved.
Right. The Massachusetts Historic Commission are conscious of this, and they do say in their manual, if you've made all the efforts to engage the public, it's that's fine. If they don't respond, that's not your fault. We've made the effort, but at least the results sort of showed that this was treated positively by those respondents.
So,
anyway,
and you could see why. I mean, people that live here understand the historic significance of the town, and and since we're not trying to force anybody into the district that doesn't want to be in it, it doesn't seem to be. I mean, it's almost like a no-brainer. But the worst thing we could do is surprise everybody at the town meeting with, oh, what is this about? Never heard of this before. So if we could get something out to everybody so they at least have the background information.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was trying to say that what you just said, you know, people don't like surprises.
right.
You know, and there's folks that support this, especially the folks that are directly connected, you know, with what the effort is. So, you know, the more we can do, you know, up front on the communication side, would be, you know, if it's $800 or $600, I think it's money well spent. And you know, I'm with Pete and Larry. You know, it's incredibly you know, awesome, frankly, to you know, just hear you two and the effort behind what you want to do, and it's great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is quite a process, actually.
Yep.
It's impressive.
Okay.
Okay.
Very much.
Thanks for listening to
Yeah.
us. Appreciate it.
Steve, did you have a question? You all set?
Yes, I do. First of all, let me say thank you for a thoughtful presentation. Maybe at some point, the fact that this is a recorded meeting will also be useful for other townspeople to tune in and get an overview of the project. At a later time, you may have a you know, more refined, if you will, presentation that could also be posted on the town website. But a general question I have, being an old-time regulator way back when, are the enforcement provisions, is it going to be built into this, something that, you know, the state provides as a generic boilerplate, which can be a good thing? Are there any ins and outs you want to mention about how enforcement works?
It's not going to be a lot different from the demolition delay bylaw. It's very, very similar to that. You basically there'll be criteria, and the criteria would be is the building or the property within the historic district, and the other one, does it fit the criteria? Is it before, you know, for the demolition delay bylaw, is it before 1823 or whatever? So something like that. So if it fits the criteria, then basically we get notified when the building permit comes up, and then we would look at the thing, review it, and say, yes, that's consistent with the bylaw, and we're okay. It's just like the historic commission does with the demolition delay bylaw. So
Okay, thank you for that.
That's kind of the process. We're trying to figure out yet. This is a 5 to 7 member board, and trying, how do you populate it? So the appointments can be made by the selectmen. There are certain criteria that have to be followed, just like it was to set up the committee that we're on right now. So you follow those criteria, but some towns basically use their historic commission to do it, rather than setting up a separate one. Or some set up a separate one and it's the same people as a historic commission. But there are criteria for that commission. At least one person on the historic district commission has to live in the district, at least one. And there are other criterias on, one is supposed to be like a realtor, that type person, and another was architect, I think. So there are certain criteria for the people, if you can get somebody to volunteer. If you can't, that's just, you have to make some effort to get that.
Yep.
Oh.
Okay, thank you for that. I can see some more homework for me about the demolition bylaw. So thank you.
With that maybe coming up, we'll see. As I hear there's a first period house that's up and that somebody wants to bulldoze it.
The other thing to say is that the Massachusetts Historic Commission are conscious of what the bylaws are, and basically the intent is not to completely restrict any homeowner from doing anything. Their main criteria is what is the visual effect from the area you're viewing from, a public place or a public road. So whatever happens behind the house or the back, if people want to put an extension on or whatever, that will go through the normal process, of which you guys are involved anyway. They're more conscious of the visual impact from the public viewing side. And as the green is a public position, it's the view outwards from there. And indeed, quite a lot of the properties around, whilst they're very old, they do have somewhat more contemporary extensions and things like that. So their categories and restrictions are not as I mean, I think they're fair to preserve the look of the area, and things which we have is using the materials used. And an example of that is, which you've probably just seen, is the schoolhouse has just been re-roofed with a composite. Now, in the old days, it would have been a requirement to put up cedar shakes or something like that.
Yeah, shingles usually.
Shingles, yeah. And now it's got a modern composite product which has a almost lifetime guarantee.
50 years guaranteed. The guarantee you get on a single cedar shake roof or shingles roof is 0. Yeah, nothing.
So they're conscious of you know what's happened over the years as materials have changed, and as I said, they're more interested in the visual effect. So it shouldn't prohibit the use of modern materials if they blend in perfectly. And as I said, the schoolhouse is a prime example of that.
And those look real at 5 feet away, much less, you know, looking a couple hundred feet across the green to see it. They're very well done, and I understand that we got a grant for part of that. So.
Which, to take your point, which is very well made, is that it was an issue that came up in discussions with people who are included in the neighborhood. Just exactly what does it mean when we get down to the nitty-gritty bylaws.
Yep, and now that you're on the topic, it kind of goes with my question that I had, and we spent some time on this, so I'll be quick. But property number 11 on your map is on the corner of Newman and the Schoolhouse Road. And if what you guys are trying to do was already in place today, wouldn't property number 11 right on the corner there be a classic example of what you're trying to do? Because that building was built, I believe, in the
Oh,
early
it's the Seddon
60s.
Tavern. It's the Seddon, that's the old Seddon Tavern. That used
Yep.
to sit on 1A. And in
Okay.
1933, when they redid 1A, they moved it over to the
Yeah.
that property. And I think Frances Bushy had something to do with that. Because
Okay.
that was her property they put it onto. So it's not on the green, it's on what was her property. That property is, the property,
Yeah,
the rest of
the-
that property is Greenbelt now. And then heading further west, was a private
Yeah.
property over there.
I mean, that property was actually originally built in 1728, but it was relocated and then it was destroyed by fire. The Bushy.
What is there today is made to look period correct.
It's made not only to look like it actually used, and this is why it's got a lot of covenants on it. When they rebuilt it using the central fireplace and the stack, they also built it using exactly the same methodology and techniques of a post and beam built house of the period. And the Spinier or whoever it was put in various covenants, and they, because it was an example of architecture creating and respecting the historic construction methods. And although it is, you're absolutely right, it was rebuilt in the 1940s.
There was an addition put on about 15 years ago too in the back, so heading away from the green. And that had to be built literally with the same specs.
Yeah.
From 1700. So that has a lot of covenants on it. That's a very well protected building.
Okay,
Okay.
yep, that's what my understanding was too. So that
Yeah, correct.
was my question in a nutshell.
You'll see that well documented in the report you'll be getting.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And we have other items on our agenda, but
Okay.
thank you for your presentation. And
Thank you.
we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And hearing
we'll,
from
and
you
we'll
in the
be back with our final presentation to you too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much and have a great night, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
you
thank
too.
you.
Thanks.
I'd like to
Well,
think about how to at least
Okay, great. We'll move on to the next item. New business. 75 Boston Road. Owner Town of Newbury applicant Ace Solar. Request for amendment to the special permit to relocate the police firing range as part of the existing solar panel project. I'd like to welcome Sam Kuda and Dale, I believe. Are they with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Sam. Would you like to explain your request and
Yep.
show us the plans? Show the
Yes,
board the
yep,
plans, please? Thank you so much.
will do. So first off, just want to introduce myself. I'm Sam. I'm taking over this project from the ACE side. I know you guys had worked with Nick. His last day at ACE was last Friday. So like I said, I'm taking this over. I've been involved with this project for the past few months, so I'm still getting caught up to speed a bit here. But let me share my screen, share the prints. I don't know if I have the ability to share.
Yep, looks like you might now.
Think can you try now? Let me know, Sam.
Yeah. Oh, yep. I got it. Got it now.
Thanks.
And like I said, Dale Myers, our director of engineering, is on as well. I'll lead this, but Dale, if I miss anything or if there's any further questions, feel free to chime in. Let me know if you can see my screen once it's up here. Awesome.
Yep, we can see it, Sam.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, so like I said, I'll give a little backstory of where we're at. Like I said, I was only involved the past few months, so a lot of this happened. This development happened before I was on board, but yeah. So my understanding is this original proposed change was due to the firing range being in our proposed access road, and as you can see on the screen here, this is where the existing fire range location was. And it was moved up here to the north to where this red areas showing the proposed relocation of the firing range. I know this was back in 2023. This went through extensive review from both the police department and the fire department. I know that it was approved by both the police department and the fire department with access requirements and whatnot. And then jump now to 2024. I think it was just back in December. I know that our special use permit and then also the comms permit was extended from the permit tolling. And one kind of stipulation there was that this new proposed firing location was within the 200-foot riverfront buffer area. So that meant that we needed to get a order of conditions permit from the CONSCOM first. And I sat on that meeting. It was a few months back with the Conservation Committee, and we went through that whole review for the order of conditions permit, and that was approved, and we have that permit in hand. So yeah, if you look here on the prints, like I said, this kind of shows an overlay of where the firing range used to be and the proposed, and then this this plan shows the layout of the new proposed firing location. The orientation of where the shooting will take place, and this page shows the actual structure where the shooting will be going into. So that is what I want to present, but I would definitely open it to any questions or anything from that end.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Board members, do you have any questions? For Sam or Dale? Pete? Larry? Scott? Okay. The only question I have is, how far is the shooting range where you're firing your weapon from the pavement?
From the, sorry, say that again?
How far is the firing range from the pavement, the paved surface of Boston?
From the access road or from the actual Boston?
Actual right away, Boston Road.
I don't know off the top of my head that the distance. Sure, I could get that number for you.
I was just curious, so
Yeah, but like it shows it here. It's
Yeah, so Sam, I'm looking at it
Yeah.
on near maps, and
Okay.
roughly from that 150-foot setback to the shooting position, from that shooting position to the edge of Boston Road, if that's the question, is roughly 100 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
If no board members have any questions at this time, I'll ask the,
I do, Woody.
okay, go ahead, Larry.
So if someone were using the range, the shooter would have their back towards Boston Road, correct?
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
Okay,
So,
go ahead, Larry.
yeah, so the square box indicates where the target area is, but where is there a shooting stand?
It would be up to the north. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but it would be to the north of that up here, where this note up here that says all existing material up here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions, anyone? Hearing none. Any questions from the public?
Woody, I would just add, just for clarity's sake, that the police chief and staff have reviewed this and are, comfortable with its location. And I do know that the review with the CONSCOM took into consideration the fact that the use is so near the wetlands and there are conditions around cleanup and that the police have agreed to and all that kind of thing. So it's certainly a benefit to the town that we've been able to find a way to continue to allow this use on this property, as well as, you know, being able to move forward with the solar panels on the landfill. So it's, you know, it's been a process of multiple minds looking at the site together to figure out a way to make it all work. So I think it is an outcome that's of benefit to multiple components of the town.
Very good. And I don't see, you don't see any raised hands from the public, correct?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I'd entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the special permit to relocate this police firing range as part of the existing solar panel project plans.
You have it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Larry. Roll call vote. Peter Pecos,
Yes.
Larry Murphy,
Yes.
Scott Kinter,
Yes.
and Steve, how do you feel?
I'm all good, all in, thank you.
Okay, and I vote yes as well as Chair. So, thank you, Dale. Thank you for your presentation. Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next order of business. Florence Bushy Lane, owner Barry Kosha, excuse me. Trustee Bushy Real Estate Trust. Applicant Ben Perez, Boston North Development. Request for minor modification to the approved subdivision plan to add stone gateway pillars and entrance gates. Do we have Ben and
Yeah,
Steve on the
Steve,
call?
Steve Sawyer with Millennium Engineering, and I know Ben's on here. I just saw him log in also.
Yep, I'm here as well.
Yeah. So I think the plan is to basically just add a decorative entry to the private way, some stone pillars with lights. I can, if you quickly, I can just share the renderings and such.
Yep.
Let's see. Share. All right, everyone see the image?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically it's just to provide a decorative entry gate here. There's a wall on this side and that parking and wall would remain. And then we basically, what we're doing here is just making a symmetrical entrance with a pole light, some pole lamp and gate. And I think there was concern regarding the fire access, which I don't know if this is going to jump right to did that jump or not? No, I think I got to stop sharing. Did that jump to the PDF or?
No.
Okay, that's one thing about this. It's not like, okay, I got to go back and then share again, then jump to that, share. Yeah, so here's in plan view. The cyan is the truck turning movement. We had widened this out in agreement to 22 feet as requested by the fire chief or the deputy fire chief. And so all fire truck turning movements are within the paved area anyway. So this is in plan view showing the distance and clearance between the two poles. And that's basically it. That's what we're looking at.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Anyone have any questions from the board?
What do I do?
Yes, go ahead, Pete.
Hey, so Steve, so we're trying to move towards dark sky compliant sort of lighting and fixtures. So how would we design something like that to achieve what you want to also achieve?
I think I defer to Ben. Those are actually very, I know these were installed. I think some of these were installed down on, they've been installed down on, off of 105 on Seagate, I believe. Ben, are those
Yes.
the same fixtures we're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
since,
they would
since
be
that time-
a gas lantern that would
right,
just have a light glow to it. It wouldn't illuminate anything really.
right. Since that time, at our town meeting, we kind of had a bylaw with kind of a mention of that we're going towards dark sky compliance. So I'm trying to figure out how we can now roll this in so we can be compliant with what we did at our town meeting.
Okay. Would the gas lanterns be too much illumination? Is that what you're saying?
So I could defer you to town staff so you could try to figure out what sort of a fixture would work best for dark sky compliance. So everything's
Okay.
pointed down. So just, a matter of getting what you want to get achieved and then just kind of flowing with what the town's trying to go towards going forward.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. The fixture, we can certainly discuss what that is.
Great, thanks.
I think that's just the main difference is whether the light is going down versus surround. So I'm not, I haven't been by the lights at 105 High. I certainly remember seeing them in the daytime, but that, I guess that's the question, is the shedding of the light going down versus around.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
I would think with, there's a lot of the dark sky compliant technologies requested and such. I imagine what they could do is just put a blacked out or darkened hood for the top of the light. So it's just directed down, horizontally or downward.
Yeah, we're more than open to that.
Not sure if it's like all around. I think all around, as long as it's shielded down. And anything that is facing upwards, has a shield to it at some point, maybe it's 10 or 20 feet. It's just being very, very thoughtful. And having uplight, having lanterns, on top of pillars bend, that, may, push light up into the sky, that, could, be maybe a little uncomfortable if you're used to, a night sky versus a light sky. So that's my interpretation, Kristen.
And I think the other thing to keep in mind is, you're kind of in a natural corridor there. We're not in a town. You're in a very environmentally sensitive area between the marsh and the preserved areas back. So I think that's kind of the direction the town's trying to move in, since we've seen some dramatic changes.
Yeah. The gas lanterns I would be using are you can relate it to a couple of candles glowing. That's all they would be. They're more for an ambient than they even really give light. So, and we can obviously put a cap or a lens, which they would come with naturally, so that the light would be directed down.
Is it at 105? Are they true gas lanterns?
They are true gas lanterns. Yeah, each property has one at the entrance of the driveway. There's nothing near the road, but they're at the entrance of each individual lot from the Seagate roadway.
Got it. And I'm certainly with in Pete's camp. We do support what we just approved, but I would also suggest that possibly Ben, you could make or deliver some submittals of those lights to Kristen in the planning department, and that could be potentially administrative approval. I think that might that'd be okay with me. I'm not sure about the rest of the board, but we could ask them.
Actually, one item of note, there is a Cobra head lamp on the utility pole directly across the street. So I imagine the light emitted from that Cobra head right basically across the street would far exceed any of the lighting, would exceed any of the light pollution that these would, but I think it is a good idea to provide submittals in such on the gas fixtures.
It's all about going forward, Steve.
Yep.
Well, Steve, how did you allow them to put that light in that pole?
That Cobra hat, I don't know. Somehow somebody snuck it up there. I guess Eversource or somebody put it up there.
Okay. But I think we all understand, what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
Yeah, that's
If
no,
there's no-
no problem there.
okay. And I noticed the pillars are 30 feet wide, so there's plenty of room beyond the pavement. in
Yep.
my opinion.
And I will
Thank
add that those gates are ornamental. They won't function. They'll be bolted open. So they're just there as a decoration. Then they won't close or anything. They're not motorized.
Yep, they'll never end up being closed and become a
Nope.
hazard. Okay,
Nope.
thank you. Very good. If there's no other questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minor modification to the Florence Bushy Lane approved subdivision plan to add some stone gateway pillars and entrance gates.
So
And and the lighting on top of the pillars to also be specs to be turned into Kristen.
I'd make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, Peter Pecos,
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy,
Yes.
Scott Kinta,
Yes.
Steve Mangine, how do you feel? I see that you said you feel good, Steve, and I vote yes as well as chair. And thank you, Ben, and thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So,
Thanks,
so I guess
guys.
just a quick follow up on that. Now that I think we're at a point where there will be no changes to the plans. I think the planning board requested a Mylar for signature. I believe that is correct, Kristen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So I'll put now that everything's set, we'll be able to put a Mylar together for signature and recording at the registry of deeds with the updated layout.
Okay,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, thank you, Steve. Next
Thank you.
item on
Have
the-
a good night.
Yep, have a good night, Ben.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, 2-8 Old Point Road, owner applicant, The Cottages Commercial LLC. Request for extension of site plan approval. Kristen, do we have an update on this matter?
Sure, I'll give a quick update and then if Vince or Steve want to chime in. Yeah, so the applicant submitted a letter requesting extension of their site plan approval previously, but we have not met since that extension request came in. So their site plan permit actually expired on April 28th. So we're trying to work together to move forward. I think the applicants have also received a letter from the building commissioner regarding the result of that expiration, which includes some requests regarding enforcement. And I did send it around to the planning board. It was just received this afternoon, so not everyone has probably seen that yet. But I guess I just thought I'd turn it over to Steve and Vince to share what the next steps are.
Yeah, so I think we're in the process. So my understanding is whatever changes were going to be a major modification, which would require a butter notification. Basically, it's a new site plan anyway. So I was in the process of submitting a site plan review application and have already pulled a butter list and such, which I think I pulled a couple weeks ago, and was working on putting together the application, which in turn I actually forwarded off a PDF of the draft submission to Kristen today, which I'm hoping to work through and get the formal submission in hard copies later this week, or I think we're planning to discuss the process tomorrow. then go from there. And so my understanding is that there's a few things going on here. So there's some changes on the site. There's a merge shacks. There was some, I think the propane tank was moved. There's some items that vary versus what the approved plan was. And Vince has run through the planning, actually ran through the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and has received approval for the additional merch shack, and also a pavilion structure, which we are, as part of the change conditions that have been constructed, we're going to be asking for this additional pavilion structure, which is currently before the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission did issue an updated order conditions for the change site conditions back in, I believe it was October, but we're back before the Conservation Commission for a modification to include that 40-foot pavilion. This site plan application that we're looking to file, actually, the draft was filed today, includes the merch shack and any of the changes on the site, along with the requested 40 by 40 foot open pavilion structure. So that's the status now. We've been methodically moving forward. I was involved with the original permitting, and then Vince had, the company that I was at no longer entertained. They got away from the site permitting process. So Vince ended up he ended up joining or hiring Millennium. I am now with Millennium, so I'm back involved with the project from as I was at the original permitting of it. So we're looking to move forward in a positive note and work with the planning board and get this thing, get all ducks in a row and get everything put together here. And hopefully over the next month or so, next couple of months, get all the changes documented, monumented, and approved.
Okay, very good. Is there any questions from anyone on the board? Hearing none. Basically, we'll be hearing from you guys soon, and we'll work our way through this. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I guess the only question I have, I guess we just got that letter today on the so the letter did state that the merch shack, the cease and desist on the merch shack, which is part of the, it's part of the business of, I granted it was not on the original plan. I understand that the permit had lapsed, but I believe the permit had lapsed a couple of years ago, and then it basically got reinstated I think it came back to life with something that was dead, and it came back to life. Now it's dead again. I don't know if the board could give any latitude and at least allow, we show good faith that we did submit the draft application, that if they could continue to at least use the merch shack through the permitting process, and if the planning board decides, I guess if there is a decision not to allow the use or not to allow the update, that it would stop at that time, just to help the business and help them move along.
My understanding was that,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Vincent. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to, I'm not sure if all of you were involved in the original, I know some of you were involved in the original approval, and I just wanted to give a little bit of a history since it's been a number of years. So this was originally approved back in 2021. The construction occurred there, and we actually had applied in 2022. Steve had submitted to close out the site plan and everything. And just to give a little history, I'm the owner of the property, and I'm, I guess, a silent investor in the restaurant operation that's not active in it. And so I got a call from Martha after Steve had submitted, the as-built and a few of the slight modifications that had to happen during the construction. And she let me know that there was now a shipping container on the site, unbeknownst to me. And so the tenant, I called my tenant, and unfortunately it was a situation where they thought they were leasing the site, and they're used to dealing with not Plum Island and the things that go with Plum Island, and they truly felt that just dropping a shipping container on there was okay. not realizing any of the rules and not realizing all the approvals that had gone through getting this done. And so at the time, I had spoken with Martha, and I think she spoke to the board, and I said, look, we're looking to do something on the corner on the site where something had where the building had burned down, and we'll come in and resolve that alongside with the what we're going to do on the corner. And the board was, or Martha, I'm not sure how it went down, was more willing to accept that. And so it took about a year and a half to kind of finalize the plans of what we were going to do. And now we're almost in 2 years that we've been trying to get our approvals done and resolve all the issues that kind of came up from this. And, you know, it took 6 months just to get all the documents and get the new engineers up to date to get into the ZBA, a few months to get the ZBA approval. And then we ran into this issue where there was a potential for tolling on the conservation. So that took a while to figure out how we were going to apply for that. And we finally decided, let's not wait and let's just go in and resolve the old issues. And then we'll come in with the pavilion, and we're right near the end of resolving that. And then right at the end of the process, where we were supposed to submit to you guys probably about a month ago, there was a discussion between, I believe, Kristen and Mason, where they felt it made more sense for Joe Swartzka, I believe, to review while we were still with conservation, since the pavilion really is more of a stormwater issue. And so we finally got his report back a week ago. There's an issue that he brought up with the asphalt and how it drains into the rain garden, and Steve and I have been working on that issue and have a solution to it, and hope to have that resolved, I believe, on the May 20th meeting with conservation. So, you know, it's been a lot longer than I had anticipated to resolve this issue, and it was honestly I blame myself maybe for not telling my restaurant partners kind of what they were allowed to do, but I was also in Florida where I live full time and didn't realize what had been done. And so it's kind of been a 3-year process of trying to undo and fix what was accidentally done. And so you know, anything the board could do, and I understand if you know, enough time has passed that it is what it is. And you know, I haven't had a chance to call my restaurant partners because I just got the letter before, but I will make sure they understand first thing tomorrow what is going on. And you know, we just hope to get this resolved. I mean, I'm fully aware we live essentially, or that restaurant is essentially a fishbowl on the island. We can't move a grain of sand on there without people noticing. So, you know, there was definitely no intention on doing something that we could kind of pull a fast one on somebody as if they weren't going to notice a shipping container sitting on the property. Unfortunately, I just probably hadn't conveyed enough to my tenants kind of what was allowed or not allowed on property. So either way, we look forward to resolving this and moving forward.
Okay. Well, my understanding is that this letter that was sent to you today was from the building inspector. So as far as the merch shack's concerned, that's kind of out of our purview now. This is an enforcement order from the building inspector, and I have it right in front of me. It says, file a complete application for a level 2 site plan review for the Sunset Club. Please coordinate with the Newbury Planning Department for submittal requirements. This must be submitted by May 22nd, which is Thursday, in order to satisfy this requirement. Failure to complete this filing will result in a cease and desist order on the operation of the club. So that's one thing that he's laid out here in this letter.
Yeah. And that
The other one-
application should be in, like Steve said, hopefully tomorrow, the final version.
Yep. And then the second note on his letter was immediate cease operation of a merch shack because the merch shack wasn't on the original plans, and the original plans are expired as of the 28th. So I don't think that's under our purview anymore. It's on.
So we could petition with Peter for that.
I guess so. This is from Peter. Peter's laid it out that that's the way it is. And what's it say at the end? It says in his letter, it says operation of the merchandise trailer may resume only when this part of the site plan review is complete. So he's saying that when the site plan review that you submit is complete, then I guess the merch trailer would open. Am I reading that correctly, Kristen?
That's how I read it. Yep.
So
So I guess the answer to your question, Steve, is no.
So work with Kristen and get the plan in, the level 2 site plan in. We will get you on the agenda.
And Woody, may I also ask a question of Vince?
Yes, go right ahead, Steve.
Yeah. In the interest of not slowing things down, Vince, I seem to recall a while back when perhaps you were before the ZBA, that there was some mention of not only the merchandise shack, but a storage shed, which was meant to be a place where the umbrellas and that sort of thing could be stored over the winter. And I don't know
That
whether
is something we're going to be going in for approval as part of this process as well.
Okay, and I mention it merely so that, the package is complete and
Yep.
so the storage shed doesn't come up a month or 2 months from now. So, thank you.
Yep, basically it's a start over, so everything that you want there, put it on the plan. And then we'll weigh in and we'll go through the process. So it's unfortunate that it's expired, but it's expired.
Woody, I just want to correct one thing Vince
Yep.
said, which is, I wasn't here back in 2021, 2022, 2023. But we did talk in February and explain that, with any site plan review project has to go before the CONSCOM and the planning board, we tend to always recommend that those review processes happen simultaneously, because there are ways that the purview of the two boards overlap and need to be coordinated such that one board isn't approving something that the other board hasn't approved. So that was certainly our recommendation in late February regarding the pavilion. And because that didn't happen, that's why Mason and I talked about making sure that the review of the pavilion with the CONSCOM included some stormwater review. The CONSCOM is actually the stormwater permit granting authority for projects according to our bylaw. So it's an important piece of the review process. In some cases, the planning board does more of the stormwater review because both boards are reviewing things at the same time. So it's certainly an effort at coordination that we generally work with on many projects. I just wanted to clarify why that was happening slightly differently in this case.
And we're 100% in agreement that getting Joe involved before conservation had voted on any approvals or not, just so that we wouldn't have to come back and forth again. So we're 100% in agreement with going that route.
Yeah, and unfortunately, actually, Vince did back in March ask me to get going on the site plan review application, but unfortunately, we're just so busy that it had slipped through the cracks and it was in the queue to get done. And there's work involved with putting it together. Granted, the plan work was mostly done, but still, it's time involved, and unfortunately, it did slip.
Okay. Well, we'll have the new plan and we'll get you on the agenda. We'll go right through it. Oh, Steve, did you have another question? Use your hand still raised from previous.
Another question or reminder, again, this is for Vince to be thinking about, I guess. I vaguely recall, or I do recall, again, back to that ZBA meeting, there was some concern expressed about how a pavilion as a structure would be a visual element as you're coming onto the island. Now, I'm not sure how that plays into the purview of the planning board, but there was concern expressed about, what is the pavilion going to look like as a gateway fixture? And
Yeah.
that's something you might want to give some thought to, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I recall as part of that process, we had originally had it orientated so that I guess if you have it as an A-frame, it was kind of facing, the A was going north-south, and the board felt it would make more sense to turn it the other way because it would just look more visually appealing. And so that is something that we took into consideration and did do as part of that approval process.
Sure,
But we will
appreciate that.
have,
Just trying to-
I was in conversations with the folks that manufacture these, and originally when we started this process, their way of trying to put I was trying to get a 3D image and they really couldn't get anything, but I guess with all this AI stuff, they recently told me that they should be able to give me something that'll really show what the structure will look like on the site and give more of a realistic depiction than some sort of a Google Earth where they kind of 3D stick it on and everything else is flat and it just doesn't look like what's actually going to be there. So I'm hoping to get that in the next week or two before the meeting to be able to share with everyone.
Sure, thank you. I wanted to give you a heads up from what I remembered from an ancient meeting. So thanks.
All right, well, thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Vincent. Any visuals that the board can take into consideration would be great. Realistic visuals, so. All right, if no one has anything else, we'll move on with the agenda and we'll be working with you, Steve and Vincent, in the future.
Steve, I'll
thank you.
call you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, have a
Thank you.
good night, guys.
You too.
All right. Yep, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, old business. We don't have any. Next item, meeting minutes. Has everyone reviewed the meeting minutes from March 19th, 2025?
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you. Well, I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 19th,
So moved.
2025. And a second?
And a second.
Roll call vote. Peter Pecos?
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy?
Yes.
Scott Kenter?
Yes, sir.
And Steve, how do you feel?
I'm still a happy camper.
Okay, for one more week, hopefully. And as chair, I vote yes as well. Meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. Liaison reports and meeting reports. Larry, do you have anything from ZBA?
No, they're actually their regular monthly meeting is a week from tomorrow. So, and I haven't seen the agenda, obviously. So I think I'll defer until our next meeting. And make
Okay,
any report.
okay, great, Larry. Thank you. Conservation's the next one. That would be me. We met last night. It was a 3-hour meeting. Did all kinds of stuff on there. Generators, demolition of a building. The only thing that really pertained to us that I could recall right now is Sunset Club, and it was continued. They asked for a request for continuance. And it may become before us in the future is the site of the Plum Island Grill across the street from the Sunset Club. But they also asked for continuance, so there was no discussion on the matter. So I know that was before ZBA at one point. I don't know where it's at now, but there's something to keep on everyone's radar as time goes on here. So that's all I can recall. So that's the end of my report. MVPC, Kristen.
Just let's see, a couple things related to our work with MVPC, which I can say now or in my planner's report, but I'll say them now. One is, I think I mentioned previously that the GIS mapping staff at MVPC have been working hard to redo the MyMap program, which is the web-based viewer that allows us to look at lots and put all sorts of day layers on top. And I just want to, they have a sort of soft launch of their new, what it looks like now. So I'll send that link around, and they're really looking for feedback. Maybe I'll even put it on the website because it's open to the public to sort of try out the MyMap and give any comments back about usability and just how it looks and how it works. So it's definitely a tool that I, use probably 10 or more times a day. And I think it's really helpful for the town in general. So just support anyone who has time to take a look at that. And then I also have a meeting with Ian Burns, and Kayla Rennie, who you all remember have helped us a lot with our housing work. The housing production plan that was approved by the planning board and select board and submitted to the state. We've received comments back from that EOHLC, the Housing and Livable Communities review team at the state level, that it looks great. They just have a couple minor modifications. So I'm going to be meeting with Ian and Kayla to review that. And I don't think there's anything that has to come back to the board. But but I'll let you know what the requests are for some slight edits, and then it looks like we're on path to have that reviewed very soon. So that's great. Get that housing production plan finalized, and then we can move forward into actually, working on some of the strategies in the action plan. So I'll keep you posted about that.
Okay. You want to roll right into your plan?
I'll roll right in. Let's see. One, just a general thank you to everybody. I was very pleased at town meeting. Thanks in particular to Woody for standing up and representing the work of this board. You did a fantastic job. And, it was a long meeting in general, but I really appreciate that those zoning amendments move forward smoothly. I think that attests to, a lot of the meetings and work and conversations we've had with people over the winter. So just thank you again. And also thank you to Martha Taylor, who really also carried the load on moving those amendments forward. So now they're approved, and we wrap it up with the town clerk and send it off to the Attorney General for review and approval. And then all those bylaws will become official. And Martha and I are talking about the next phase of the recodification work already. Will give us all a break for a while, but I think hopefully this summer we can start kind of wrapping our heads around some of the next revisions to the zoning bylaw that have come up over time and we want to move forward with for next year. So thank you to everybody for that. Let's see, 2 short project updates. 34 Central, just to remind everyone that we did post the legal notices. I think the first ad for the rescheduled public hearing for the 34 Central multifamily site plan review was in the newspaper today, and it'll be posted in the Daily News next Wednesday. Abutter notices went out, and that public hearing date is now going to be our next meeting, which is May 21st. We have continued to be receiving public comments, so I'm posting all those on the website. I haven't sent them around individually to all of you, but I'll summarize them before the May 21st meeting. But just so you know, they are on the public website, so you can read some of those public comments when you have time. Oh, and then our traffic peer review for that project, we are moving forward with that. I should have that contract signed by the town administrator this week. And I think that peer review of the traffic study will be an important piece of it. And I don't think we'll have comments back by May 21st, but my hope would be we'd have comments for the meeting, the next meeting, the early June meeting. So just keeping that moving forward as well. And then 105 High Seagate, Steve, I see your hand, but I'll just run through all my stuff and then I'll stop talking. 105 High Seagate, you recall, they had some work to do on the wetlands replication and some of the open space components. And my understanding is that now that it's warm and things are growing, they have done that work. So Mason and I are talking about going out there for a site visit. And then we also want to schedule a time for all of you to get out there and see the property, which is nearly complete. We are still waiting for the comments on the conservation restriction, which come from the state. But we're trying to keep moving with everything that we can handle locally to move towards closeout of that project with them. So, so I'll send around some date possibilities for that sidewalk. Let's see. Okay, last thing is there are two really important public meetings coming up. I wanted to invite you all to, and anyone who's listening to this. The first, as you heard at town meeting, the Open Space Committee and Recreation Committee have been working on the update to the open space and rec plan for the town, and they are holding their first kickoff meeting for that work to look at maps and talk about open space and think about priority actions for open space conservation and management of recreation lands. That is May 20th. It's a Tuesday, 7 p.m. And the meeting will be actually in the Council on Aging large meeting space. And that effort also has a public survey. We just heard how hard it is to get that out there, but Sadie Woodward, who's our open space planning assistant, is working really hard with the committee to do that work. So that is also coming right up, May 20th. And then May 28th, which is a Wednesday, 3 weeks from today, the Plum Island Turnpike feasibility study for resiliency improvements project, which is a mouthful. So we're just calling it the Plum Island Turnpike project. We're having the public meeting for that project. It will be a short presentation about what that project is, and then an opportunity for people to be in the classroom and talk about their concerns, ideas about ways to address some of the challenges of Plum Island Turnpike, both from a sort of vulnerability of flooding angle, but also in terms of multimodal transportation and safe transportation. As you recall, that project is funded through what's called a FLAP grant, which is Federal Lands Access Program. So it's federal highway money that Newburyport and Newbury were eligible for because that the Parker River Wildlife Refuge is on the island. So it's specifically concerned with improving access to federal properties. But obviously our local communities, our residential communities on the island also have the same concerns. So that meeting is May 28th. It's going to be held at the headquarters of the Wildlife Refuge, right at on Plum Island Turnpike on your way out to the island, 5:30 p.m. So we have flyers for that. We'll be going out tomorrow. We'll start doing a lot of outreach and marketing about that event, but those are my updates.
Very good. Steve, did you have a question for,
Right, we actually got another one now that I listened to Kristen's presentation. Will the flap and or the open space recreation committee meetings be Zoomable, or is it only in person?
Both of those will be in person.
Okay, thank you.
There
And
may be a way that we can record them, but I haven't figured that out yet.
you know, I think it'd be great as a minimum to record them. That way, there could be after the fact commentary if need be.
Yeah, both of them are intended to be sort of pretty interactive with breakout tables and conversations. So some of that part may not be recordable, but I certainly think the initial presentation should be able to be.
Mhm.
It's a good idea. Thank you, Steve.
And then the other one had to do with the traffic study. Is that something where the consultant's working for the town, or are they working for the applicant, or?
That's working for the town, but it's a peer review similar to our stormwater and engineering peer review. So it's the cost is covered by the applicant. However, they are hired by the planning board, by the town, and their work is on behalf of the town and our review.
Does that mean that, you know, you worked with Tracy, whatever, to pick the consultant to do the work, or?
Yes.
Just trying to get a sense of how that works. And something I will share with the board is that when it does come out, I will probably have a question, but one of my ongoing questions, when I get a traffic study that comes up in something I've been interested in, was to ask, how many times has the contractor found that the traffic would have an undesirable effect and it shouldn't be allowed to go through? Or have they always said, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it won't be a substantial impact? I realize I'm sounding sarcastic, and maybe I do mean to be, but that's a question that I always want to put on the table. What's their record of approval versus disapproval? I know that certainly came up, was raised as well by another person I worked with in the town about traffic measurements that were being done on the Plum Island Turnpike. And I think it's going to be an interesting answer to watch how the contractor responds. You know,
Yeah, I'd be happy to share both the RFP that went out to consultants as well as their proposals back. I'm happy to share that with you. And it's, I think their charge is to kind of point out and identify questions, but not necessarily, you know, I think the project is in the hands of the planning board in terms of how we interpret their findings and their report.
okay, thank you. And again, I may have gone out on a limb too far in mentioning a longstanding concern I've had about traffic studies and in general. So thank you.
I think your comments are very fair, and I will also say that many of the public comments coming in from the neighborhood are particularly concerned about this issue. So it's certainly something we're gonna be taking a close look at.
Right, though it'll also come up on the federal meeting at Parker River, I suspect. Thank you.
All right. Very good. And Kristen, if you have nothing else,
That's it.
I see nothing on the agenda. So before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I just want to thank the board for attending town meeting.
Well, first off, Woody, I would like to just reiterate, I think what everyone on the board feels, and that's thank you to Kristen, certainly Martha, and Woody, for you to have the courage to get up in front of 350 people, maybe 300 by the time you actually stood up and addressed the town meeting. That's something that is commendable. I'm extremely proud of you. I think the board is as well, and everybody else in the town. So I just wanted to just thank you all. It was meaningful last week. It's my first Newbury town meeting. Won't be my last, but it was very interesting, to say the least, and very proud of the town for making the right choices. So thank you.
It went well, so
Well said.
that's all that matters. It went good, so thank you, Scott.
What do you rocked?
Next year will be your turn, Scott, all right?
No,
We'll put you up there.
not
All right.
yet.
If anyone else has anything, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Very good. Roll call vote, Peter, Larry?
Yes, sir.
Scott,
yes,
Yes.
Steve?
For
I can ask
sure.
Steve, how do you feel for the last time, Steve?
I'm all good.
Very good. And I vote yes to adjourn as well, and everyone have a great night. Kristen, thank you very much. Good night.
Thanks, Woody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good night.
In a couple weeks.
Over and out.